Well, big story that broke in the last 24 hours. They won the recruiting battle for Danny O'Neal. He's a 6'1 quarterback from Indianapolis Cathedral, a couple of state titles back there. I asked a scout, how do you look at this kid? And he says, this kid looks like Drew Brees who can run because the kid is a scrambler. He makes plays, but he's only 6'1. I think he's 190. Phenomenal statistical accomplishments, no huddle offenses in high school. He walks in the front door here. That's what they're going to run. I call it Aztec air. They're going to throw the football a lot. Dan O'Neal is going to enroll early. He graduates in December. He's going to enroll at San Diego State for courses in January. He'll be there for spring football. The kid obviously was wanted. Miami of Florida wanted him. Northwestern wanted him. He chose here because of Sean Lewis, the coach who had recruited him to Colorado. He was an early commit at CU and then backed out when he heard that Sean Lewis was leaving, and Lewis winds up landing him. So that's the first cornerstone to Aztec Air's new offense. I think it's been a dreadful couple of weeks at the Aztec Athletic Center. 19 kids are in the transfer portal. The entire offensive line is gone. I don't understand why these kids reacted so quickly and decided to opt out without seeing what Sean Lewis was going to do. Anybody read his biography? Anybody talk to anybody that was at Bowling Green, at Syracuse, at Kent State, what he did? Some of the Aztec players had to see Colorado games and what Shadur Sanders did with the formations and the offense and what they did before the team fell apart at the end of the year. I'm shocked that so many Aztec players would vacate. You know, their top offensive lineman, Cade Bennett, transfers out, 2-year starter here, going to TCU for his final year. It's his third school. All the younger offensive linemen that Brady Hoke put on the field, force-fed them, developed, they're all in the transfer portal. Whole pile of his players defensively, led by Cooper McDonald, his top linebacker, transfer portal. Guys in the secondary, Des Malone, starter, gone, just committed to Colorado. Marcellus Radcliffe, the great young freshman safety, UCLA.
Wow.
I'm just shocked that these kids would jump ship so quickly rather than giving Sean Lewis the opportunity to show them what he could do roster-wise. So I'm disappointed. Lewis has been able to hold, I believe, 11 of the top 12 recruits that had committed to Brady Hoke. That's important. But he's got no offensive line, and he's lost a ton of people on the back seven defensively. He has filled his coaching vacancies. He has hired a coach from Colorado, offensive line coach, who was with him at Kent State. He's hired 2 defensive coaches. One's going to be a coordinator, Evan Schmidt, just coming from the University of Washington. So he's filling his staff with his guys. And a bit of a surprise, they are not going to run the defense that they ran under Rocky Long and under Brady Hoke. They're not going to run the 3-3-5. They're going to run what they call a 4-2-5. He's been a little bit slow getting commitments from the transfer portal. He's got 2 that I know of. One's a defensive lineman. One's an offensive lineman who's coming from North Dakota. So he got a lot of road to make up there. One side note, the whole Matt Araiza story is now complete. Matt Araiza and the woman who countersued each other for defamation have dropped the lawsuit. No financial settlement. He does not pay anything to her. Now, he's on the hook for the legal fees. He retains the right to sue her attorney for the things the attorney did, defaming his character when the story broke. The attorney did a lot of stuff on social media, which was, wow, you're saying this about him? Never been arrested? So now the window opens to see if anybody will call him, bring him in for the final 4 weeks of the season for a tryout, or whether he'll just go into the winter and then start making visits. His agent, Joe Linta, who's based here, very upset at just the way this whole case evolved, the rush to judgment, condemning some in the media for what was written, what was said, and said that This young man lost 2 years of his pro football career based on false allegations and fabrications. But it's too bad. I'll swing back to what I told you months and months and months ago. Since when does stupidity stop a guy from going to the NFL when you consider who's on what roster and some of the things other guys have done?
For sure.
Never got charged. I think he kind of got blackballed. I do think he'll get opportunities now, but 2 years of his career, his life, his physical abilities have now gone off the clock. So that's where we are. Your comments on the Aztecs, your comments on Araiza.
Well, first of all, I'm happy the Araiza thing is resolved. I mean, that was just kind of murky and dirty, and he was falsely accused, but he wasn't an angel that night. So
he did something stupid, but since when is stupid stop you from going to the NFL?
Exactly. So I'm with you there. So hopefully he gets his shot, but he's a punter, so you're not sure. But going back to the new coach, Lewis, in a transfer portal. On one level, you think, okay, if the players are going to maybe go to UCLA or go to like some top tier school, great, good on them. It's an opportunity for them. But I bet a lot of those guys in a transfer portal are going to end up nowhere, or they're going to end up on a lower quality team, a lower tier team, because it's an unknown when you go in that transfer portal. And, with the track record of Lewis and his offense sounds great. But then I'm also heard that he had the offensive play calling duties taken away from him at Colorado. What was that about?
Well, that was when Dion, because they didn't have enough offensive linemen, just couldn't configure how to protect Shedeur Sanders, the kid, his son, and Shedeur wound up getting a fractured back. He took so many hits because they didn't have enough offensive linemen. They didn't change the offense. And so they were, in essence, demoted Sean Lewis for the final 3 games of the season. Offense didn't get any better. They still got battered. Then they wound up actually losing the quarterback. So I think Sean Lewis is kind of victim as Dion was looking for answers and solutions, etc. By the way, speaking of Dion, back in the transfer portal, offensive linemen, you guys, let your quarterback get sacked 58 times. Turn in your gear. You go to the transfer portal. He has already gotten commitments from 6 new offensive linemen. So he's bodies in, bodies out.
Well, I heard Warren Sapp might be joining his staff.
Is anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, if you figure he's going to be a magnet for players and coaches.
I would think so, but he's not been a magnet this year. He's not done well in the portal outside of the offensive linemen. So that's where we are. I just wish the kids had given Sean Lewis a little bit more time. Now, if they're kids that don't wind up going other places, he can always go back in and get some of those offensive linemen to come back to San Diego State. But it's obvious it's new coaching staff. It's obviously going to be new schemes. I maintain, I know his track record. I've talked to people about him. I understand what he did at all those places that he was at. All those quarterbacks put up phenomenal numbers. He rebuilt offenses. They had winning seasons at Kent State, which never had winning seasons. These kids should give this guy a chance. And for the Aztec football fans, yeah, you should make your reservations right now for Aztec Air, because I think this is going to be fun to watch. And by the way, San Diego State cut their ticket prices 20% again for the second year in a row.
Good.
On the east side of the stadium. So,
is this the highest rated quarterback that State has ever recruited?
Well, it's hard to say nationally where Ryan Lindley was, who set all the records, where Kevin O'Connell was. But yeah, maybe. I think he's 34th in the nation as a blue chipper. I think he was called a 3-star.
That's still not bad. For San Diego State, that's a good recruit.
As one guy told me, he's a 6'1" version of Drew Brees who can run the football.
Oh, wow. Right on.
So that's where we are. Okay, we go.